This episode is brought to you by Pure Energy Apothecary, a woman-owned skincare and wellness brand founded by my friend Dawn Lancaster. Dawn and I go way back, deep diving into essential oils. We shared a passion for creating intentional products, just like the ones Dawn continues to craft today with Pure Energy Apothecary. When Dawn said she wanted to offer you 20% off Pure Energy products, I was thrilled. Pure Energy products are handmade in Vermont with ingredients you can pronounce, and they smell amazing. They are rooted in real aromatherapy. Visit pureenergyvt.com and use the code PURECHANGE for 20% off just for being a part of the Change Happened community. Pure products, pure purpose, pure energy. There are moments in life that quietly or suddenly change everything. A diagnosis, a loss, a decision you didn't expect to make. And once that moment happens, the real question becomes, then what? Welcome to Change Happened, Then What? A storytelling podcast about the moments that shape us and the lives we build after them. Each episode brings you a real story told with honesty and care, where everything was questioned and where even then they chose to keep moving forward. This isn't an interview show. It's a place for real stories shared thoughtfully, sometimes messy, sometimes hopeful, but always human. I'm your host, Heather Holt, and I'm so glad you're here. Before we begin, I want to invite you into something I'm doing called the Changed Me Community Drawing. Stay tuned to the end of the episode to find out how you can enter into our monthly drawing for a super cozy Change Happened trucker hat or a super soft tee. Now, let's dive in. Hey friends. Before we dive into today's story, I want to let you know that this episode includes discussion of suicide. Please listen with care and do what feels best for you. As always, you'll find support resources linked in the show notes and on changehappenedpodcast.com if you or someone you know is in crisis. Now, on with today's show. There are some stories that strike a chord with me a little more than others. Angie's is one of them. Angie grew up in a home where both parents were emotionally unavailable from a very young age. Because of that, she never learned how to regulate her emotions. She learned how to survive instead. After a series of losses and grief she didn't yet have the tools to process, Angie found herself standing at the edge more than once, knocking on the door of not wanting to live. Yet somehow, each time she knocked, it wasn't her time. What followed was a journey of learning herself, learning how to stay, learning how to walk through this life in her own skin, and learning how to find happiness that didn't depend on anyone else. It's a story of truth, healing, and courage, and it's definitely one worth telling. Now, let's dive in.
I grew up in a household. Both of my parents were very emotionally unavailable, but as a child, I didn't have the tools to discern what that meant. So the way I interpreted my environment was I believed that I didn't deserve to be loved. having that belief that I didn't deserve to be loved, I struggled for a very long time in my life because I was a people pleaser, because I thought that I had to chase and perform for love. I basically had very little self-worth, so I was always looking to prove my worth in things outside of myself. I was an overachiever, and it was just very exhausting to live that way, yet I wasn't aware of how to change it, or that a happier, more fulfilling life was even available to me. One of the biggest turning points in this journey was in 2017. My boyfriend broke up with me, and then shortly thereafter, my dad passed away. And at that time, I was 37 years old. I had spent 37 years running away from my feelings and doing everything I could to suppress and numb my feelings. But with this profound grief from two major losses, I literally could not suppress my feelings, and it opened the floodgates. My dad died in February, so the rest of the year I felt like a zombie because I didn't have the tools for emotional regulation.
You see, when you grow up without emotional regulation, you don't learn how to sit with big feelings. You don't learn how to name them, calm them, or let them pass. Instead, emotions build quietly at first until one day the pot boils over. Without those tools, people often turn inward or outward in ways that don't make sense on the surface. Some numb, some distract, some chase approval. Some collapse under the weight of it all, not because they're weak, but because no one ever taught them another way. And for Angie, that boiling point became impossible to ignore. So she made a decision. Not a perfect one, not an easy one, but a brave one. Angie decided something had to change.
In early 2018, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I decided that I wanted to make some changes in my life and be happier. So I decided that I was going to move. I was living in Chicago at the time. I was going to move to Hawaii.
I understand why Angie thought Hawaii might fix her. I was lucky enough to spend a month there years ago. It's warm, it's beautiful, the people are genuinely kind, and everywhere you turn, there's water. From an intuitive and spiritual standpoint, water has always been connected to emotion. It moves, it flows, it holds and releases. Many traditions believe water helps calm excess emotion and soften the inner fire. It doesn't erase pain, but it creates space for it to move instead of staying trapped inside the body. So, even if Angie didn't consciously know why she was going, something deeper did. Her internal compass was already pointing her towards healing, and Hawaii wasn't meant to fix her. It was meant to begin the journey.
So I moved to Hawaii, and I still had the exact same problems. And not only that, I developed a whole new host of problems. When I moved, I was very fortunate that my job allowed me to work remote. However, right when I moved, there was this huge management shakeup at work that threatened my role. So for the entire first year that I lived here, I was in constant fear of losing my job. So that caused constant anxiety. I had a really hard time making friends, which was something that was never an issue for me in Chicago. So I was not expecting that. So it really felt lonely and isolating to be thousands of miles away from my family and friends and not have any friends here. I bought a condo immediately, but then a month after I closed on my condo, a shared pipe in the building backflowed into my bathroom sink, and I wasn't home, so my entire condo flooded. It was just super stressful initiations. Then the next 2 years, it was like thing after thing after thing. My grandma died. I ended up making some friends, but then a few of them ended up being toxic. And then COVID happened because that was also very lonely and isolating. But things did start to get a little bit better during COVID. Everything was closed except the ocean. So I decided that I wanted to learn how to surf.
So, here she is, in Hawaii, trying to find her footing. And while the world is shutting down, Angie makes a simple decision. She wants to learn how to surf. It's not about becoming a surfer. It's about getting in the water, about movement, about feeling something shift. Then the world gets quiet, locked down, disconnected, and suddenly the water becomes more than an escape. If this were a movie, this is where the music would shift. A man and a woman meet in the water during COVID, week after week, same place, same rhythm. They talk while waiting for waves. They share pieces of their lives between sets. Small truths at first, and then bigger ones. He tells her he's married, but living apart. She interprets that as a divorce is coming, and slowly something grows. Not all at once, but enough. Enough hope, enough closeness, enough belief that maybe this time is different. Until the day Angie realizes something doesn't add up. The divorce isn't moving forward. The story isn't changing. And the future she imagined may never exist. Suddenly, what felt like love begins to feel all too familiar. Another place where she reached for connection. Another moment where she hoped she'd finally be chosen. Another reminder of how deeply she wanted to be seen. And this time, the water couldn't soften the landing. Quick note before we continue. After you listen, you can head to changehappenedpodcast.com to share what stayed with you and enter the What Changed Me community drawing. More details at the end of this episode. Now, back to Angie's story.
And so because I thought things were ending with his marriage, over time, things started to get romantic between Ozzy and I. You know, going back to 2017, it was like my boyfriend broke up with me, my dad died, I moved to Hawaii, and it was like, again, 2 years of thing after thing after thing, and then COVID, and then that happened, and that was basically the straw that broke the camel's back. There was a layer of just sheer hopelessness, and I did not see any possibility in the future for anything to ever go well again.
Before we continue, I want to pause for a moment. In the next part of this story, Angie shares about a suicide attempt and how she survived. If this is something that feels too heavy right now, you're welcome to skip ahead to the next chapter or take a break. Please do what feels safest and most supportive for you. As always, you'll find crisis resources in the show notes and on changehappenedpodcast.com if you or someone you know needs support.
I intentionally overdosed on my anxiety medication. I was unconscious in my bathroom for a day and a half. I was blacked out, but somehow I managed to text a friend. She took me to the hospital, so I spent another day and a half in the hospital. I was released from the hospital. When they released me, they just put me out on the curb. So I had like no ride home. I was barefoot standing there on the sidewalk, and I was still kind of high and out of it. So I was like, oh my God, they just like abandoned me on this curb. I turned on my phone. I ordered an Uber. One of my friends hosted a workshop, and I did not show up. She was concerned about my well-being. When I got home, I called her and I told her the whole story of everything that happened. And I ended with, I can't believe I didn't die. And her response was, it's not your time.
Her friend says 4 simple words. It's not your time. On their own, these words might not seem significant, but in that moment, they changed everything for Angie. They didn't fix her pain. They didn't erase what she had just been through, but they cracked something open. For the first time in days, Angie begins to sense that there might be more to life than what she believed just 3 days earlier. A different ending, a different path, a reason to stay. And that's where her story starts to shift. Not all at once, but enough.
And it sent a cold chill through my body. I don't think I would have came to that realization if she didn't state it so obviously. And it really made me realize how lucky I was, because I was unconscious for a day and a half. I somehow miraculously managed to text a friend who took me to the hospital. To me, feels like my soul wanted something different than my brain did. It made me realize that I think I do have a purpose. And I wasn't sure what it was, but I was determined to figure it out.
Before Angie and I continue our conversation about how she began to break free from old patterns, I asked her a difficult question. It's the kind of question many people carry quietly, the kind they want to ask but don't always feel allowed to. In this space, one built on trust and care, I asked Angie if she could share what her state of mind was like in the moments before she wanted to end her life. Not to relieve the pain, and not to explain it away, but because understanding that headspace matters. When we listen without judgment, we learn how hopelessness can narrow someone's world. We learn how pain can convince a person there is no other options. And most importantly, we learn how those thoughts are not reflections of who someone is, but of how overwhelmed they feel in that moment. Angie shares what she can in a way she can, and what she offers here is honest, brave, and deeply human.
It's hard to describe, and the way I try to describe it to people, because I get really defensive, because the stereotype about suicide is that it's selfish. And the way I try to describe it to people is, if your leg was chopped off and you were bleeding out at your leg, you would be focused on the pain in your leg. You wouldn't be wondering like, oh, is my family going to be upset if I die, or anything like that. And emotional pain can be equally as intense. It was mostly the sheer hopelessness. It is such a dangerous place to be, because I could not see any hope from the future. It was like my life has been sucking. It's always going to suck. And I literally cannot continue living this way. I just couldn't even stand being in my own body. And it's such a horrible place to be.
I'm incredibly grateful for Angie's willingness to share this with us. In that moment of vulnerability, she puts words to something that's often hard to explain. She helps us understand how overwhelming emotional pain can be, and how when someone is in that space, it can take over everything else, not out of selfishness or weakness, but because pain has a way of consuming all of our available attention. Angie then shares how after her friend told her it wasn't her time, something shifted in her. She began to see just how deeply she disliked herself back then. She talks about the sadness she feels now when she looks back on the version of herself, not with judgment, but with compassion. And over time, Angie found a way to love herself enough to offer grace to who she was, to feel gratitude for surviving, and to honor how far she's come. And that kind of compassion, that's where the real healing begins.
So the first thing I did, and again, it was based on what my friend said, that it wasn't my time. And so I was like, okay, I want to find my purpose, but I also need help. And I had tried traditional therapy before and it didn't work for me. So I decided to invest in myself and hire a coach. And so I hired a coach, and of course, to actually change all of the limiting beliefs and things that were going on with me that were causing the things in my life to happen, that's a whole process. In the first month after I got out of the hospital, life felt extremely fragile. The only way I can think to describe it is like, it felt like I was walking around without skin, because I was just so sensitive to like every little thing. So in the meantime, because I knew coaching, because I initially signed up for a 6-month program, and I was like, I knew it would take time, but I was like, in the meantime, I just need something to make it through the day. And on my very first call with my coach, he asked me, if you could do anything in your life and didn't have to worry about money or resources, what would you do? The first thing that came to my mind was the book. And I was like, I have this idea for a book. It's going to be really vulnerable, and I think people will find it relatable. And then I want to go on book tours around the world so there can be safe spaces for people to actually have this conversation. And I just went on and on and on about this vision. And when I stopped talking, he was like, did you notice how lit up you just got when you were talking about that? He was right. Like, I was really lit up. I think this might be my purpose. And I wasn't sure, but again, I needed something in my day-to-day to just keep me going while I was in this coaching program, because I knew the progress would be slow but worth it. So that's when I started writing my book, because it gave me a purpose every day. So that was the beginning of my healing journey in earnest.
Angie explains to me that she used the phrase in earnest very intentionally. She had tried to help herself before, but not in a way where she gave her full attention to healing, not in a way where she truly committed to change. And I think many of us can relate to that. If you've done any kind of self-help work, you probably know the difference. There's trying something, and then there's making a conscious decision to change for the better. Now, I've read Angie's book, Running in Slippers, and what stood out to me most is how real she is in it. She doesn't sugarcoat her story. She talks openly about the messy parts of her life, and she takes responsibility for her role in it. She doesn't blame, she doesn't deflect, she owns it. And that kind of honesty matters in today's world. If you're interested in learning more about Angie's journey, I truly recommend picking up a copy of Running in Slippers. You can find it on her website, and I've linked everything for you in the show notes. Before we continue, I want to share something close to my heart. Dear Sweet One Lullabies. It's a custom lullaby made just for your child. Using their name, birth date, and whether they were born under the sun or moon, each story becomes a gentle audio keepsake filled with warmth and wonder, perfect for bedtime or just because. You can find Dear Sweet One on Etsy or at changehappenedpodcast.com. Now, back to Angie's story.
I quit corporate America and I started my own business. So now I am an inner glow coach. I help high-achieving women stop chasing love and approval and start radiating confidence so they can finally feel happy, free, and loved for who they are.
Happy, free, and loved for who you are? What a powerful way for Angie to support others, especially after everything she's walked through in her own life. And yet, there's something about Angie that keeps nudging at me. I sense that she experiences the world deeply. From a spiritual standpoint, some people would describe that as being an empath, someone who naturally picks up on the emotions, energy, and unspoken feelings of others. It's a sensitivity that can feel overwhelming without boundaries, but also deeply meaningful when understood and honored. That kind of emotional depth doesn't disappear. It just needs direction. And it made me wonder how much that part of Angie shaped her past and how much it now plays a role in the work she does today. So I asked her about it.
I was born with it. For most of my life, I was intuitive. But I don't think I knew what it meant. I definitely didn't trust my intuition. You listen to my book. There were many situations where it was telling me one thing and I would ignore it. I spent a lot of my life like that. But me really developing my intuition was an unexpected part of my healing journey, because my attempt was in October 2020, and that's when I started working with my coach. But then in December 2020, I received invitation-only intuition group, and it was based out of Chicago. I had gone to workshops. Also, if you remember from my book, after my dad died, I went to a psychic medium. The woman who runs this intuition group, that was the medium. So she saw this potential in me that I didn't see. This was basically just serendipity of timing. And initially I was just doing it to just be doing something. but it has changed my life because my intuition is so tapped in and spot on. If I'm driving and my intuition is like, turn here, and it's not a road that I would normally turn down, I just do it without even questioning it.
Angie and I talk more about intuition, and she shares something deeply personal. Her and her father weren't especially close while he was alive, but since his passing, she feels their relationship has shifted and now exists on more of a meaningful and spiritual level. If you've listened to other stories on this podcast, you know this is something I believe in deeply. There's a strong connection between our human experience and our soul. And when we live connected to our soul, we tend to trust more. We feel more grounded, and we often feel closer to the people we've lost. As Angie and I begin to wrap up our conversation, I'm struck by the depth of the change she's made in her life. She has taken the hardest moments, the painful ones, the messy ones, and found a way to transform them into something that helps others find their way too. So I asked her one of my favorite questions. After everything you've been through, what keeps you smiling today?
That's a good question. I don't think anyone has ever asked me that. I would honestly say my sense of pride, because even in retelling this story now, it's really cool to see how far I've come.
You can hear the pride in her voice, and she has every reason to feel it. Angie has come a long way on her journey, and I am deeply grateful that she was willing to share so much of it with us today. And with everything she's lived through, she leaves us with one simple truth.
You are worthy. So anyone who's not feeling that way, I just want you to know that it is possible for you and that you are worthy of it.
Yes, you are worthy. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of joy. You are worthy of all the goodness that can come your way. Life has a way of knocking us down, and when it does, we start to believe we're not worthy of the very thing we so easily wish for others. But the truth is, we are far more alike than we are different. The self-love we struggle to give ourselves is often the same compassion someone else is longing for too. When we begin to think just a little differently, when we speak to ourselves the way we would speak to someone we love, we start to see that there is no reason that we are unworthy, because we would never say that to another human being, and neither should we say it to ourselves. As always, support resources are listed in the show notes and on changehappenpodcast.com if you or someone you love needs them. And now for the What Changed Me community drawing information. Head to changehappenpodcast.com. Click on the What Changed Me banner to tell us what stayed with you from today's episode or any interview episode you listen to as part of the What Changed Me community drawing. Each time you share, you'll be entered into a Change Happened drawing. You can enter more than once. Every entry is also automatically included into our quarterly drawing for a special Change Happened Super Prize, whether you've won before or not. Change doesn't end the story. It's often where the next chapter begins. If something in today's episode stayed with you, a moment, a sentence, a feeling, I'd love to hear about it. And if someone came to mind while you were listening, consider sharing this episode with them. Because these stories don't end where the episode does. They keep moving forward in what we carry with us and in who we pass them on to. is written, edited, and produced by me, Heather Holt, with the loyal background support from my two sidekicks, Waylon and Dalton. Until next time, keep smiling and maybe let your dog inspire your next big idea.
There's always a reason to always choose joy. There's something deeper that the world can't destroy. Smile when you think you can't. Smile, get up and dance. Smile, there's a bigger plan. The storm only lasts for a while. So smile.